because we actually do have a 7 o'clock one of these. So that's one of the reasons why I'm kind of concerned. So we're going to figure it out though.
Oh, okay, let's go.
This is the Oglesby and Scott Show. My name is Charles Oglesby, also known as Todd Millionaire, Todd Billion, with Rashana Scott, who will be joining us momentarily. Thank you guys all for tuning in. The purpose of this show is to share the stories of successful African-American business owners and investors, because we believe that business and investing are the two keys to financial success and generational wealth. With us today, we have Miss Gabby Burks. I see Gabby Burks, I see Gabby Williams. I'm assuming one of those is, yeah, so I'm going to call you Gabrielle.
There we go.
She's an investor, realtor, project manager in St. Louis, Missouri market. Through education, consultations, and bootcamps, she teaches the basics of real estate investing and demystifies all that is needed to be successful. She has a degree in corporate communications, and she excels in problem solving and getting to the goal, which is cash flow. Prior to real estate, she spent many years in banking and nonprofit. And as a wife and mother, she understands the need to create financial freedom and build a legacy. So welcome to the show, Gabby.
Thank you so much for having me. Thanks for reaching out.
So the first question that we ask people is, well, I'm going to ask you this. Who are you outside of the intro that I just read? Who are you and where are you from?
Yeah, so I was born in Chicago, Illinois, and I'm Gabby. I'm Geraldine's granddaughter. That's who I am. And originally from Chicago, grew up in Carbondale, Illinois.
Nice. So you grew up in Chicago. What was life like growing up?
So I was in Chicago for probably the first 10 years of my life, to be just totally transparent and keep it real like I like to do. We were in and out of shelters pretty much my whole life. I didn't know that. I thought they were apartment buildings. So I didn't find out until maybe my teenage years that they were actually shelters. So we lived in very nice shelters growing up, always had family around us. In terms of like ownership and so forth, I had no idea what the inside of a car looked like. We took public transportation. We took the CTA. Here we go. We took. Oh, can you hear me okay? Now your sound is out.
Oh, I was saying, Rashawn, we started without you, so we're already in the middle of the first question. Donna the Voice, make sure you get that. I don't know.
Go ahead and go.
I want to say yes, but I also don't want her to flash on here. And she's like trying to unmute herself.
Okay, you just tell me when to go, and then I got you.
Okay. You were coming in hot.
Yeah, I can wait for her, or we can keep going. It's you tell me what to do.
Since she's here and the way Zoom is so weird, like people can talk over people on Zoom, so I kind of want to get her in before we start going.
Okay, perfect. I'll wait.
But yeah, I've been thinking about St. Louis as a market because I'm trying to, like, Detroit's actually getting really expensive. And so I'm trying to find more affordable deals. So I'm trying to find more $10,000 homes, $20,000 homes, something that,
yeah, lean on me. We definitely find them. Hopefully we can get into it today on some of the strategies that we use to continue to win and how we, now, are you a flipper or are you a buy and hold?
You know, I started out buy and hold, and then I decided that I don't want to wait on tenants anymore. So I'm doing my first flip right now. So
fair enough. Okay.
We'll see.
I'm proud of you. Congratulations on doing your first flip.
I mean, you know, when tenants stop paying, you got to figure out how you're going to get paid somehow. Oh man,
That's real.
welcome to the show, Rashonda Scott.
Hi.
Why you gotta let everybody know I'm late?
Oh,
I mean, she kind of knew what time the meeting started and everything. I didn't tell
I meant
Twitter.
our listeners. Or did the podcast
Oh.
not start yet?
Oh no, we started.
Oh, okay. We in the
And
middle of an episode.
And she was dropping gems. So we're gonna get right back to it. I was waiting for you to get back in because I didn't want you to talk over her when she's dropping fire. So I'm gonna cycle back. We were talking about what life is like growing up.
yes, sir. Yes, sir. So, like I said, I'm originally from Chicago. Grew up in Chicago until I was about 10, and then we relocated to Southern Illinois, Carbondale. And so life growing up, in Chicago, it was great. We had all of our family there, whole families from Chicago, dad's side, mom's side. Like I was telling you, we grew up in shelters. I literally had no idea, in full transparency, we were in a shelter because they were super nice. They were high rise. There was a bellman there, but my mom didn't tell me. Maybe she did not tell me, but I didn't realize it until we sat down. And she's like, "Oh, that was a shelter." And I'm like, "What about this address?" And she's like, "That's a shelter." I'm like, so our whole lives, right? So that was pretty much my childhood. So I had to go back and look at that and see, was this traumatic for me? And it really wasn't, because like I said, it felt like an apartment, it felt like public housing and so forth. As far as ownership is concerned, my great grandfather owned a multifamily on the south side of Chicago. And so once we left the shelter, we would be in and out, back and forth between, what I know now as shelters, to his multifamily on the south side. I did not know as a kid, 3, 4, 5, 6 years old, that he was a multimillionaire and owned that building. We were not paying rent and so forth. And so when he passed, we pretty much lost everything. We're gonna just keep it 1,000 today. Okay, we lost everything on the south side, everywhere. Anything we own, we no longer own to this day, right? So, but life in general was really good growing up. Like I said, my high school years were in Carbondale. Finished college here in St. Louis, and so yeah, definitely had some looking back to do as far as housing is concerned.
When did you start getting into real estate? When did that shift happen for you?
That's a whole okay. So long story less long. And if you guys follow me and you really follow the journey, then you know that I'm very open about my son had a brain trauma, so he passed away at birth in 2019, and I was working in nonprofit here in St. Louis. Always worked in nonprofit for a very long time, banking, nonprofit, and so I was in the hospital bed with my son. We were there for months and months and months. Had occurred probably about $500,000 worth of medical bills. And the CEO of the company called me and said, "We no longer need your services." Right. So ultimately, she was stripping me from my medical services. I didn't have a job. I said, "Are you firing me?" And it was, first time I ever worked for a Black person, first time working for a Black woman. We just, like I said, we're gonna tell the story. And she said, "Yes, we no longer need your services." I reminded her that I was in the hospital. I'm on maternity leave legally. And she said, "Oh, that's too bad." Right. And so I remember feeling like I have to do something because, when you heal from a brain trauma, it could be 15 years, if that. Right. And so I knew my life would never be the same. And I kept trying to think, guys, like, what can I do to make money from home? What can I do to make money from home? So I enrolled in real estate, like school, and I felt like it wasn't like moving fast enough. And I was worried about building up clientele as a realtor. And so we had about $21-ish thousand in the bank. I took out $10,000 and bought our first rental.
Nice. In between losing the job, buying the first rental, were you taking any courses, listening to any podcasts, reading any books? What did that process look like?
Never. Nope.
Never. Wow.
Never. I never listened to a podcast, read a book, anything. I was completely 100% desperate, and I knew I needed to have residual income, right? And so I said, well, if I can at least make, at the time I'm renting, the where we're living, I said, if I can at least cover that, I can figure out everything else. And so I was looking for a rental that would pay my rent, because I knew I couldn't afford to move without, a W-2 income, right? And so I found a rental to pay my rent, and that's how I pay my rent. I never heard of any of the podcasts, read a book, took a course, nothing. Just completely desperate. And so I jumped. I found when I decided to buy the property, I would say it couldn't have been more than 10 days. I bought the property, I was closing.
Yeah. And how long ago was that?
That was in 2019. That was the spring.
Gotcha. And so what was it that made you say real estate?
Really the desperation. And I felt like, the CEO at the time she had all my power. I remember her, even though I was like so scared in the hospital and so forth. I mean, imagine being at your lowest and you're like, I can't go no lower. I'm in the hospital with my son. They're telling me he's not going to make it. And somebody takes you lower. And I thought about that power, right? I'm like, that's a lot of power she has. I said, I never want to feel this way again. What can I do? Again, back to that question, to make sure that I can work for myself. And so I thought about that residual income. The only thing I could think of that was sure. I thought about stocks. I've always been into stocks here and there, but for sure was to be a landlord and to get tenant rent. That was it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And what was it that first kind of sparked that, right? You knowing and that being a landlord and getting residual income through, tenants, like what was it that first, kind of sparked that for you, saying like, okay, this is a real way to wealth?
You know what? I really wasn't thinking about wealth at the time. It was literally the desperation. And I lean heavily on God. It could have been like that dropped down. And then, when you're trying to survive, right? So I was Ubering, I was door dashing, I was doing all of these things. And so I was up late at night, if I can give you more color to the answer. And I was like, there's gotta be something that I'm missing. And John, who is the president of my company now, my business partner, he has rentals and he has a YouTube show. And I was just scrolling on Facebook and I said, he does real estate. And I DM'd him 2019. I said, will you help me find a property? And it couldn't have been, because it was probably like 4:00 in the morning. The very next morning, 8:00, we were walking properties. We walked maybe 4 or 5. And the one I bought, he said, this is the one. And so I bought it. And so that desperation married with, the innovation and really God moving. And I was on Facebook and I saw somebody.
And that Chicago hustle.
Right. I'm not gonna be down for too long. No, but so yeah, all of that married together. No, I never took a course. The first real estate course that was my own, that I built out. Didn't do any of those things. I tell people to do that, but you'd be surprised what desperation is going to create. You know what I mean?
So $10,000 purchase price. Any rehab? What do the numbers look like on that deal?
Absolutely. So I would say in total, we probably spent about $7,000 to $8,000. Maybe let's say 7 to 9. Wasn't great at bookkeeping. There's a box that still has the address on it, full of receipts, because one day I'm going to go back and get the real number. And we did a lot of the work ourselves. I ran the full rehab myself. I was on YouTube. I was Googling. I was calling, John a lot. And I was calling the alderwoman, hey, can I get a free dumpster? Hey, do you know any kids that will come by, right? Like I literally was trying to think how I can win. I was at my property 80 hours a week for a total of 72 days, and then placed the tenant through Section 8.
Yeah, I know I was watching some of your videos, and that's one of the strategies that you kind of tell people to implement, is to do the work yourself and save money that way. Especially on that first rental. Why is that important?
Man, you know what? Because I figured that my target audience and who I talk to on my page and a lot of people that book with me is a single mom, and she has $30,000 or $21,000. Just enough, for my market to get her in the door, but not enough to finish it up and make it pretty. And so I always say you could do more than what you think you can do. And so that piece is important because it's going to create buy-in within yourself. And you're going to be able to know and learn. And so now I know how much and how long, painting a room cost. I know you can't game me, right? And so one time, for example, I want you to have that knowledge and I want you to have that buy-in. We're flipping a property in Berkeley, Missouri. And we got a bid back for some freaking cabinets painting. I'm like, it's going to be like, $300. This man told me $1,800 to paint white cabinets white. Now, watch this. If I didn't know that painting white cabinets white cost a bucket of paint and 2 hours of labor, right, I probably would have swiped my card and kept it moving. But because I had that buy-in and I did it myself, I got to look at everything and say, this don't cost that, it don't take that. Right. And so now I'm able to talk to my contractors like that. day in and day out. It don't take that long. It don't cost that much. Push back on that, you're fired, and so forth, because I was in it and really built a strong foundation. And I want that for people that are starting out, so that, because you will get robbed blind. And so in order to prevent that, what does it look like for you to GC yourself and be in the door yourself? I love that for the people that listen to me, those single moms and so forth.
That's why they always say like the first property isn't necessarily to get rich, is to learn how to do real estate. And so like, even for me with doing my first flip, yeah, I want it to be a home run, but I also just want to learn how to do the whole flip process beginning to end.
Sure.
And then also one of the things that I kind of wish I would have done is done the work on some of the beginning properties, because you learn that skill. And like you said, you don't get robbed. In the event that you have to go to that tenant's house and knock out the repair yourself, you can do it. And so it just makes the whole real estate process a lot easier. You're going to learn how to put in floors, learn how to do all those different things. Yep. So I think that's really smart. And like you said, we are more capable than we think we are.
Facts.
Where did your real estate journey go from there? What did you do next?
Yeah, so I started documenting everything. My uncle, I asked my uncle for money. He's definitely a multimillionaire in North Carolina. He said, nope, not going to give it to you. And so I'm so grateful, because I would be splitting that door that we're talking about today. That first one nets me about $1,000 on a 10 grand purchase. It's insane. But I say all of that to say, I asked my uncle for some money. He said, absolutely not. So I did all of the work myself. In that, I started documenting the journey. Just like on Instagram, I had like, 1,100 followers, right? So I'm like talking to myself, my daughter's filming me, and so little by little traction started gaining, and people started saying, if you can find a $10,000 rental. I didn't just find one $10,000 rental. Remember, I walked several 10,000, 7,000, 8,000. I mean, I thought that was the norm, right? A girl who's never owned anything, never lived in a home that her family owned, her immediate family owned. I didn't know that was rare. And people were, my DMs were blowing up. If you can find me this, if you can find me this, if you can find me this, I'll pay you. And so I said, let me finish real estate school. And so when I finished real estate school, I started to build out ultimately a one-stop shop concierge, which is what we are today. You're going to tell me how much capital you have to bring to the table. We're going to coach you. We're going to take you into acquisition. We're going to close with you. We're going to rehab. We're going to flip with you, or we're going to tenant place. And so we do everything start to finish right here with me in St. Louis. And so it literally went from that one rental to building out a business on how to find cheap how to find cheap properties. So I got my license, going to brokerage, and learned a whole lot.
And that's the company Real Estate Bae. You've done some crazy numbers. Can you give the listeners some more information on the statistics that you've accomplished thus far?
Yeah. So you got to ask my marketing guys. So I know as of now, for the first 4 months of the year, we bought $500,000 worth of rentals in St. Louis. The cheapest one being $6,000, and the most expensive one being $53,000. So somewhere in between there, we hit $500,000. Flipping with people all over the country. Our flip profits range from $74,000. The lowest flipper with us is $54,000. And we're talking about, I'm done with a flip in 8 weeks. So the systems and the processes, I won't even take a flip that's over nine weeks. If you show me a door and I can't do that because it's too long. I like to move and move and move, get you your money, get you my money, and go to the next one. In total, we probably have about 468 today. I looked at it yesterday. Real Estate Bae, like students all over the country and the world. I'm really excited and proud at everything that they're doing. They've taken it and like blown them, their own portfolios up. But then you can either be a student or you can be a full-time client. And so the full-time clients are the ones that have acquired the 500,000 here in St. Louis with us. And then in terms of just actually last week, we just onboarded, I want to say another 13 clients with a total, and we only take cash clients, $483,000 cash that we're about to deploy into the St. Louis market for acquisitions and rehabs.
Wow. And so when you buy these homes cash with your clients, are you then refinancing and putting debt on the property, or are you just keeping all the cash in? I guess it probably depends on the circumstances too.
Yep, it depends on the client. Yep. So we'll walk you through all of that. We have everything from, me as the realtor all the way to the lender. And so it depends on how detailed we want to be with the client or how detailed they want us to be. I love when my clients use me up. And so to give you some color around, do we refinance? Do we not? We have clients that say, Gabby, this is the house that I want to buy. What does it look like? And you in the hood, but we can make it pretty, right? And so I can add value to this house. That's cool, boo. But before we place a tenant, what does it look like for us to stage it and to call an appraiser out so that we can have an appraisal on the books with my lenders, and she's going to tell you the value that's at hand. So we can get that, finite and that detailed, but we start with the goals. So that's who am I talking about there? That's just Giuseppe, right? So he's out of California. He's like, I gotta burr every deal. Every deal has to have equity in it. So let's build out a plan for you. Or I can have Janice, right, in Belleville, who says, I don't care about none of that. I need to leave my job in 3 years. This is how much money I have. And she's in the middle of her first flip with us right now. And so she's flipping this first house, and then she's going to go into rentals. And we built her out a goal to hit $5,000 a month in rental income, because that's her goal. His goal is something different. And so each client has totally different goals. We got a client out in Miami. She said, I want to keep flipping until I hit $250,000. So then we put her on a plan that's specific to her. So it definitely depends on the client. And we ask about your your year goal, and then your 5-year goal. And then we kind of work backwards from there.
All right. So I got a couple of questions. My first question is, so what does your team look like?
Sure. So it's me as the CEO. John is the president of field, let's say acquisitions. We have Janae, who is the office manager. So that is it for Real Estate Bae as it stands. We have a lawyer, an accountant, and that's pretty much it. It's just us 3.
And then my next question is, so you mentioned working with clients, right? And so when you're working with clients, you are representing them, right? You're their realtor. And then you're also project managing the rehab. And then you're also partnering with them on whatever the project is, or no? Like, are you just representing them, or are you actually in business with them? You're in business with them, right?
So we go, no, we're not. So we go to, I'm your GC. And so you hired, I actually put a bid.
Right, so you're getting a project management fee. So you're getting, so you're representing them on the front end, and you're getting the project management fee in the middle. And then you're getting, a sales commission on the end to dispo it, or if you rent it out, or whatever the exit strategy might be, right?
Yep, that's for the first quarter. Now, if you want to flip with me in 2021, my company takes 30% of all flip profits. So at that point, to your first concept, yes, we are a partner with any flips moving forward after last month.
Right, got it. Good stuff. Yeah, I'm so glad that you mentioned that, because the thing is that, we talk often about like being a realtor and being licensed and things like that. But I feel like most realtors don't understand that there is more ways to make money than just, representing a buyer and buying a house, right? So in that particular example, like, you got paid 3 ways, So, a lot of people may look at it as if like, oh, you're only making 6% or whatever it is as a realtor. But initially, like, you're making 6% on the front end, you're making 30% on the flip profit, and then you're turning around and you're making another 6 on the back end to sell it. Now, essentially, and I say 6 because that's the standard number in Chicago. And then, of course, if you have a relationship with that client, you aren't going to charge like a full like commission, right? So instead of 6 and 6, it may be like 5 and 5, or, whatever the case. But regardless, you still ate 3 ways. So I want people to 4 ways. Come on with the 4. Come on with the 4 to 5.
Break it down. Real Estate Bae, just to join our company, you pay it's 5 figures to join me, right? Because what we were seeing before was people wanted to play in my face. I mean, just dozens of people. And so you could say, oh, I want you to be my realtor, but we needed a gatekeeper, right? And so put your money where your mouth is, and we need proof of funds. So you pay me just even to get on the phone with me to join. Then you pay me at acquisition. Then you pay me at GC. Then you pay me to tenant place or to flip. So we eat the whole transaction. So we want you to go back into the funnel and do it again and again. And that's what we're seeing.
Because why wouldn't they?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
What is the client responsible for outside of bringing the cash? You just take care of everything.
I want you to bring the cash, and I just want you to just sit back for just a couple months.
Please.
Please.
And listen to the expert.
Please listen to me. I want to, and so that's it. That's really it. I don't. And so the thing, one of my passions,
cash and trust.
Somebody asked us, we just onboarded a client. He has $90,000. He said, Gabby, I'm going to give you $90,000 for 90 days. I need $27,000 back. What? In St. Louis, I can buy 2 properties and flip and make you 100,000. I mean, it's insane here. So that's
when you ask, can I keep the difference?
We trust me, my lawyer, she'll be at the office on Wednesday. So we write up, really specific and airtight contracts. But to your point, what do we want the client to bring? 100% capital and to be quiet. But one of my passions is I don't want to build passive investors. I want people to be able to replicate this process in their home states and so forth. We have people that invest with us from Ohio. You could probably do this in Ohio, sis, right? But I want to see it done first. And so one of the commitments we make is you get unlimited text and email to me and the office manager Monday through Saturday, 10 to 5 p.m. So you get access to me constantly. All of our information lives on an online database. And so the client is able to log into their property, see pictures, see videos, see receipts. They see Home Depot receipts, what was ordered, what was taken back, who's doing what. And so they live phase by phase the project. And then we check in with clients once every 7 days at a set time for 30 minutes and say your project is killing it, or you haven't paid an invoice in 10 days. And so we're probably going to mail you back your keys. What are we doing here, right? And so we do touch bases because, again, that transparency is important so that I can live out what I really want to do, which is to teach people how to do this for themselves.
Yeah. What are you looking for in an ideal client? In terms of like amount of money, maybe credit score, experience, what are you looking for?
Okay, because Charles got money. He want to know what the application process is like.
About the credit score, I really don't care for credit score at all, because remember, we only take cash. It's very rare. I won't take a client that's not cash. I'm definitely an investor's agent. I really don't want to take home buyers. Sorry, I just don't. My passion is the investing side. And so I want you to be an investor or interested in being an investor. At minimum, to join Real Estate Bae, wanting to see proof of funds of $40,000 for my buy and holders, because I got to get you through the whole transaction. That's the joining fee, and everything else I can tie you up at 40 grand and you're done. If you want to flip with me, we need to see at minimum $70,000. That's pretty much it. We do have 2 screenings, and some of the questions can feel a lot like, how is your home life? Do you trust your mom? And you'd be surprised. Or how do you feel about deploying capital and not seeing the project? And people will say, oh, I don't never need to see it. Or some people will say, I'm going to fly in 4 times. Baby, the project only 7 weeks. Why are you flying? What you doing? So that's a trust thing, right? And so we literally sit down and say, does this client have the capacity? If she's saying she needs to fly in 4 times in 7 weeks, she may not have the capacity for how we roll. When we send you an invoice, we need 33% of $30,000 today. So we can start. We need 33% of 30,000 in 2 weeks and 33% of 30,000 another 2 weeks. Like we roll through it. Our longest rehab, I think, was that 72 days. So we go fast. So buckle up and be ready to pay your invoices.
It's impressive that you've been able to scale so fast.
Yeah.
And I think what's cool is when you aren't limited to your own financial situation, you can do a lot more.
Yes.
And so now it's like you have the knowledge and you just apply the knowledge to the resources. And so now you're just clicking. How many flips do you have going on right now?
At this very moment, we have I feel like I'm forgetting somebody. We have 3 flips and 1 rental right now. So we have 4 properties under rehab.
And how are you managing all that at the same time?
A lot. Notion. We use the Notion. So each property has, like I said, its own database. Each property has its own calendar, who's in and out and so forth. Each property is on an alarm system, its own lockbox. Each property has its own bank account. So when you deposit, I know that this is over here. So when my office manager pays, she paid Chris today, she knows he's at Lexington, swipe Lexington, right? So each property literally is its own entity. When we meet on one property. If we meet, I like to go, your job, let's go. We meet on one property. They all have their own database, own checking account, own LLCs. Each property has its own LLC. Everything is each property has its own page in QuickBooks. And so everything is systemized and they're all totally separate. Yep.
I was watching your stuff and you made mention that people shouldn't be trying in the beginning to buy $100,000 properties. They should be trying to buy more affordable properties. Why and how do you do that properly?
Yeah, specifically, I think I was talking about investments for your investments, six-figure investments. I mean, that blows my mind. Maybe because I live here. So why would you do that is because on your first one, again, I want people to do it themselves. It's less risk, right? If you can buy something for 20 grand versus $200,000. So there's less risk. And that's pretty much it. That's the start and finish of that. It's going to be less risk, in my opinion. And so if you can't do it in your market, this is how I build up a wait list, quarter after quarter, as I beg of thee to do it in St. Louis. I'm not going to ever drop the ball. We say this with full confidence. Maybe people call it arrogance. We'll never fail a door, ever. We do too many processes. Even before we buy a door, we do an appraisal on it for the ARV, like an official 20-page appraisal from the bank. Like, hey, if I take this to you, will you refine? We do pull too much data. We knock on doors, talk to neighbors. We do a lot. And so I say that to say, if you cannot do it in your market, then, take off try something different, try a different market and try to build capital in a market like St. Louis and trust us to bring you back the bag. Yeah, 6 figures is nuts, in my opinion, humbly.
What are you doing to find deals in this market?
What don't I do? Man, we rely heavily on our wholesalers. So wholesalers talk, text, email, call, drop by the house directly. So we got homies that, literally I've been knowing since I was 10. I didn't know they was wholesalers until I found out I was in real estate. So wholesalers are a major part of our business. We do a lot of short sales. We do a lot of foreclosures. And so my broker has been in business for 21 years. And so when she sat me down and said, why do you want to join this brokerage? First, I wanted to join it because they were really small. And then when she told me all of the specialty she is in, I said, this is the one for me. So she works directly with foreclosures, directly with the bank. So I get pocket listings. So I wouldn't say I do a whole lot because we buy a lot of her pocket listings directly from the bank. So we've built up a pipeline there. She says, hey, this house is coming down in 2 weeks. In 2 weeks, I can figure out a phase breakdown. I know how much roofs. I got plenty of time to send guys by and build out a rehab plan. So we rely heavily on our relationships, both on market and off market.
Question for that, like particular deal, for example, a deal that's coming down the pipeline from the bank, would you start to pre-market it, or how would you just have the client lined up?
Client is lined up. Yep. So like I said, we have 13 people right now ready to buy in Real Estate Bae
that are waiting.
Yeah. We got
yeah. And you're just, when the deal comes, you put them with the deal according to what their resources are.
Bingo.
Yeah, you're like a real estate matchmaker.
That's exactly
Real Estate Bae.
That's it.
Wow.
I just do that.
Real Estate Bae.
Yep.
I love it. Man, that's some good stuff. I mean, I'm taking a lot of notes, and this is definitely good stuff. So, are you working on your own deals right now, or only clients?
Oh, yes, I am. So, me and John talked about this maybe 6 months ago. We got overzealous, and we just keep it real. And we were giving away $6,000 deal, $13,000. Why am I doing that? And I could have made more if I held it and flipped it myself and so forth. So as we go into the next quarter or the next half of the year, John and I are going to be partnering on not Real Estate Bae deals, but our deals and our own flips. In terms of right now, my husband is GCing. Pray for us. One of our own flips right now on the north side of St. Louis, but then everything else is already tenant placed and everything. So that's the only thing that we have going on personally. John has 7 doors, and he bought them all cash, never used a bank. And so, but we realized that everybody's portfolios was growing, and we were, let's just keep it real. We're a new business. So we were like barely making it when it comes to after we pay everything, it's like, where's the money, where's the money going? And so of course I split everything with John and everything like that. So I say that to say, we're taking a step back in terms of when we get pocket listings, we're going to think through them first for ourselves until we have a certain number we want to make. And then we're going to start sourcing them to our clients. We're still going to give them plenty of deals.
Totally.
We not
Totally.
$6,000 houses.
So, right. So that's the point, right? Like you cherry pick the best and wholesale the rest, right? And then the other thought to that too is that, like you mentioned, like you guys just getting overzealous. And I don't know, if I would really put that much, I don't know if I would say that, like, because you can also look at it from a different perspective, right? Like the fact that there's so much abundance out there. And the fact that you have, so many clients, you have great clients, and you're like, hey, we're giving them great deals also, right? But yeah, moving forward, yes, cherry pick the best and wholesale the rest. Absolutely. For sure.
Have you looked at investing in any other markets, or are you just kind of in love with St. Louis?
Ooh, we don't tell nobody, but I really don't like St. Louis. I know that's gonna throw y'all way off, and then we gotta have a whole nother conversation. No, I'm not really a fan of St. Louis, to be quite honest with you.
Well, you come to Chicago and spend 6 figures.
All right, I'm gonna stay where I'm at. I'm gonna be grateful. No, but so no, not in love with St. Louis whatsoever. I love what we're doing in St. Louis, but I would never invest in another market. I see no reason. There's absolutely no reason. It's just an abundance of, I saw 12,000. I mean, I see so many 12,000, 13. I just send my team out, and it's no reason.
Investing isn't about love.
There we go.
It's about
numbers.
Yeah, I love the numbers.
You gotta put that on a shirt.
That's real. Awesome.
Yeah.
I love it.
What are your plans for Real Estate Bae going forward? How do you plan to grow this company, and what do you plan to grow it into?
Man, that's a good question. Grow it into. So the biggest thing was the pivot on the flip. I was listening to BWR, and female real estate guru. It was the exact same story. She said, I was doing all of these flips, and I was taking home a commission. And one day I looked across the table and I saw my client was making 6 figures, and he just put up the capital. So I said, moving forward, I'm going to split it.
Like, who was that?
The female real estate.
I know that story. From where?
Black Wealth Renaissance. She's from Louisiana. They just interviewed her a few. So she said, I'm instead of just being the realtor and representing them on the front and the back, I'm going to split everything with them. And she became a multimillionaire. I'm not going to say overnight, but very fast. And so that's the biggest thing, Todd, is that pivoting from a percentage, like I'm GCing the project, I'm a partner in the project. And so we changed the website. You are now a capital partner, and this is what this means. You don't tell me pretty much anything. You sign a contract saying Real Estate Bae gets the last say on design, what the refrigerator gonna look like. We do everything, and then you take home 70% of the profits. And so I think that is going to, in fact, I know in 91 days, we will be easily sitting on $250,000 the way we're thinking about how to spend this. And everybody, 95% of our clients that have come to us want to flip because they've seen a lot of the successes. And so imagine 30% of 6 flips that are 6 figures. And so that's really the biggest thing. And the other thing is getting us an office space, having our own space, and just expanding the team. My office manager is now getting her realtor license. There's plenty to go around. John is getting his realtor license. And so really positioning ourselves as experts. And then the other thing that we started in COVID is we do Black real estate mixers. And so we sell out 100 Black real estate investors all over St. Louis. Really, they be from everywhere. Come in, drive in, and we have a happy hour and we talk. We have panelists. We have the Airbnb. That's not my space, but you talk about that. and we talk for 4 or 5 hours with 100 Black millennials in a room. And so all of that, positioning myself, the branding is really, really, really good. What's going to be important to me moving forward for the rest of the year.
What was your most successful deal?
I feel like I'm in it right now. Can I say what it's going to be? It's going to be this. I know this for a fact. So let's talk about the foreclosure on, I ain't gonna say the street, people crazy. The foreclosure, big white house. You bought that for $53,000. It is currently a 3-bedroom, 2-bath. We're making it a 4-bedroom, 2-bath. We're expanding the livable square footage. So we're finishing the entire basement. We're adding some features. I mean, this mug is about to be sick. So the design is going to be all like golds and metals. And so we bought it for 53. We're going to put it on the market for well over $150,000 into the 160s. And so the client, and he's putting in, it was a great house. He's not putting in that much. He's going to walk away with quite a bit of money. That was probably my most successful deal. My favorite deal is probably going to be my client, Wendy, love her to death, out in Cali. She bought a rental with me. She got off the phone with me, very agreeable, trusting. She said, Gabby, whatever you say. This was during orientation. She got off the phone with me. John called and said, I found a house. I said, let me see it. I called her back. I had clients already. I called her back. I said, I found your house. And she bought the house within a few days. And so we bought the house, tenant placed. We did her section, everything within 5 weeks. And so she's now cash flowing, I think, $900. And when she came to me again, we go say, Wendy, what do you need from Real Estate Bae? She said, I just need a rental that will cover my daughters and my student loan payment. I said, what's the payment? And she said $700. I said, give me a couple weeks, right? And so that I just love that for her, because that's exactly what she needed. And now we're talking about refinancing with Midwest Banking Center, one of our partners.
Yeah. What keeps you going?
Not being rich. No, I'm just playing. I'm super, y'all, I'm super competitive. I'm very, very.
Look, that'll do it.
Right. Yeah. Super, super competitive. I compete with myself. Did you do the best on that deal? Were you the best in that space? Right. And so my competitive nature, and I'm really not competing with anybody. I personally, for what we do, I'm sure somebody's gonna say, I do that. I've been doing that for 20 years. I don't see who's doing exactly what we do in the way that we're doing it, and being totally transparent with numbers and everything. So being competitive and you know what, like I didn't say this, but the $21,000 in the very beginning of the story that I pulled out the $10,000 and bought the property on, that was my husband's it's ours, but we were engaged at the time. So I pulled out $10,000 from his business and I never paid him back. So things like that, I can do it now, but I just like, let me get, really settled. Then I got you back. Right. So things like that, I owe him 10 grand. That's what's motivating me.
How much of just seeing successful business people in your family pushes you to be, I guess, aim for generational wealth?
Man, like I said, my great grandfather, I didn't know he was rich, so I couldn't really lean on him. My uncle, who is a multimillionaire, you know what? He motivates me in a twisted way, because so we'll use the word like a father. So imagine your father who's never taught you anything regarding wealth. And so that frustrates me a great deal. And so that motivates me. The frustration motivates me, because how did you become a multimillionaire? He's like, I just work my butt off. That's how he'll answer you, right? And you could be asking him with in full, like, I need this information, and he does not share it. And so I see wealthy people, a wealthy person in my family, really holding the keys. And much like my grandfather, if we don't pass that information along, we will be exactly where we were, the day he passes, with really nothing, because we don't have the tools to maintain it. And so that one wealthy person in my family motivates me to share. My mom is 54 years old, has never owned a car. And as soon as I got my realtor's license, I cannot make this up, she bought, I walked her through the hardest deal of my life. She now lives in her own property. And so things like that, that's motivation. Like, I know my uncle could have helped, like he owns a property, right? But being able to be a lifeline for family in transactions and spaces is hella motivating, for sure.
Before we let you go, I think there's a story that I saw in your story that I saw in somebody else's story, and you were talking about how your grandfather left $500,000 to your family, and yet and still your grandfather, your great grandfather left the money. Your grandfather ended up dying, I guess, in poverty.
Yep.
And what is the message that you wanted people to get from that story?
Man, it's yeah, my grandmother is one of my tenants now, so life is serendipitous. But she's a widow. But I think it's what I just said. It's if we don't share, teach, and preach and beat the drum on, I don't care if it's real estate investing, stocks, vending machine, I don't care what it is, but how to acquire and maintain wealth, right? Like our Jewish counterparts or our white and let's talk about my last name, right? The Claters will be in the exact same place. We'll be back to being bankrupt, back to the city of Chicago taking our properties, or the city of St. Louis, right? If I'm not teaching that information. So I think that in one regard, people, it's clickbait because my header, right? And so we got a lot of clicks. But so yeah, he left us. He actually, when I told the story and it went viral, my mother called me and she said, because she saw it on the Breakfast Club, she's like, he left us $1 million. She corrected me. It was too late. It was already viral. So he actually left us $1 million. And so we celebrate that in one space, but man, did we win or did we fail? And I wanted to kind of show and make it very polarizing that you can do, Todd, you could become a multimillionaire, but if the baby don't know how to run QuickBooks and the baby don't know, it's all for nothing, because we work not for our generation, but for 2 and 3 generations. And so that's ultimately what I wanted people to take from, just being real about my family.
That's so true. I was thinking, I was going to tweet this, but I was like, you know what? I can leave my son nothing, but everything I'm going to teach him is going to allow him to build it for himself. And it's like, that's really the generational wealth. There's that generational knowledge that gets passed down. So thank you for taking your time out to drop gems and share your story, especially how you built the business Real Estate Bae and just been crushing it in St. Louis, and how you got a new client. And me, I'm gonna be hitting that link because I need to make a deal happen. Where can people find you? Where can they follow you? And where can they find out more about what you have going on?
Yeah, so the website is therealestatebae.com. Instagram is realestate_Gabs. I don't know what Twitter is. I be liking to talk about people over there, so just follow me, y'all. And I'm really not too active on Facebook in regards to real estate, so definitely hit me on Instagram. Follow the journey. We mark and show. In fact, when you join Real Estate Bae, you sign a document that says your property is going to be online. We're going to tell everybody what's going on. So you sign a confidential agreement that says there's no confidentiality outside of respecting who you are as a person. We show every single thing from acquisition all the way to the tenant getting the keys. And so follow me over there. You're going to be mad inspired. I do lives typically every single week. And I do a lot of free classes as well. So Instagram, and then hit me on the website, therealestatebae.com.
If you had to leave the people with one last gem, what would it be?
Oh man, get started. Man, it's time out for, can I just say it's time out for studying? Y'all, I'm sorry, but people, I got to study a couple more years. What's going on? No, let's start, right? Let's start. Give yourself a deadline and go crazy until you get to that deadline. Crush it. Start. That's definitely what I would believe.
So this has been another episode of the Oglesby and Scott Show with with myself and my co-host, Mr. Shana Scott, the Realtor of the Year.
Hey.
If you guys have any, make sure you leave us a rating review. We like 5-star reviews. That's how you move up in the rankings. You see all these people move up in the rankings because they get ratings, reviews, and they also get subscribers. So subscribe as well. If you're tapped in, subscribe. That matters. We will be dropping the Patreon soon, so we'll get that out there with some more gems for the good peeps. But with that, It's been another great episode. My name is Charles Oglesby. We got Rashonda Scott, and we're signing off. Cool. Thank you very much,
guys.
Thank you. Thank you so much. We got another podcast we gotta hop on.
Oh, to jump on, you told me. Well, you guys have a good night. Thank you for hanging out.
All right. Bye.
Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.